Coach, what's practice been like the last couple of days for you guys?
I thought it was good yesterday. We just went back to some real basic things. I thought, a couple of things that were hurting us on the defensive end. For instance, just getting back in transition and guarding screen and roll. And I thought so we just spent a lot of time on those two things yesterday.
What was the biggest issue you saw with the transition defense against Iowa?
Effort.
What do you
Care.
What do you do to try and fix that? I mean, do you preach the importance
Well,
of it, or do you
the job of a coach is to get a positive response, right? So you do whatever it takes, and still keep your job and get a positive response.
Go ahead.
You'd mentioned how guys were, especially the bigs, overthinking things and worrying about consequences that weren't there. I guess as a staff, how do you go about fixing that? And is that something you can do on a short
I think you just confront it, first of all. There's no mind game. There's no, hey, let's trick them into thinking. You just say, here's what I think. Is it accurate? Okay, so why? And, and just kind of walk yourself through it. But you always, anytime there's an issue that you, as a coach, you have a gut feeling on, or you recognize that maybe they don't recognize, I think you just try and teach from it. For instance, let's say Isaiah Roby, who's a terrific kid and player, decides that he's sliding and Cook hits him, so he tries to take the charge, and then Cook dunks it. And I say, so is that a good defensive position? Yeah. And then he hit me, so I took the charge. I said, well, wasn't a charge. It's not your decision. It's the ref's decision. You just need to make the play. And then, then you can show him Tanner Borhart standing there getting run over by a Mack truck. That's taking a charge. So, if you see the subtle differences, just play. Just play. Do your job.
Is that kind of the goal for this game? Is just go out and play?
Do your job.
What's the difference in the guys on the road versus playing at home on the defensive end?
It's always, first of all, I think we have to credit Iowa. Iowa played a very good game. And it's not like they're a bunch of nobodies out there. They're pretty good. And so I think you have to credit Iowa. But, like anything, some of your worst qualities always come out on the road. It's just a fact of life, and you have to overcome that. A lot of times you have to win by 15 to win by 5. And we just, we didn't play well enough. The fact that we even had it down to 4 late or whatever is, credit to our guys.
Have you felt more of a sense of urgency in the team in practice, or are they more on the steady side still?
This is a more casual team. I think that one of the things we always work on is that, getting them, locked in and running to the fight.
You think they're doing that at this time?
They did yesterday in practice. It's like they said they were angry in last week, and I said, well, we need to stay angry. I don't think we stayed angry. I'm not sure we were ever that angry, first of all.
What do you see when you look at Penn State?
Yeah, Pat Chambers has got a team that's just a relentless group. I was just watching the Michigan game last night, and, they just keep coming at you no matter what. Michigan's really, really good. And they don't go away. They hang around. They're physical. They've got Mike Watkins, who's a difference maker. Lamar Stevens is an all-conference type of player. They've got young guards, of course, with Miles Dredd and the Bolton kid. And so, really what you lost was Tony Carr and Shep Garner, which were two really, really good guards. And now these other guys are like Josh Reeves, and these other guys are a year older, but it's still an adjustment in the Big Ten. So, and anytime you're weak in one area in this league, they'll make you pay, And we found that out, and we've also been able to do it to people. But, Pat's team is going to come here fighting. They always have, and they always do.
Isaiah had one of his better offensive games against Iowa. Is there anything you saw that you can carry over, some of the same looks he was getting?
Yeah, I think it was different because of the zone. So in the zone, you're kind of flashing areas. You're on a baseline. You're reading and reacting a couple plays away. Man, it's not always quite like that. So, Isaiah against Fullerton had a big game. Then a couple games, not so much, and then another big game. So we just got to keep him on the floor. That's the biggest thing.
With Lamar Stevens, you guys have had some trouble with some scoring guards this year, Amir Coffey and some other guys. What does he present as a challenge, and what do you guys need to do to
I see him more as a power forward, but those kind of guys give you a lot of problems too, right? And so when I look at him, I just think that his strength and power are so impressive. Plays really good in isolation, and can make threes. Now, he has not shot the three as well as he did, but, you know, we're not going to let him get a three. So we're going to try at least. So, you know, I just think he's such a strong player. His physicality is really good.
Tim, you mentioned last week that you're the only Big Ten team to start with 3 of 4 conference games on the road.
Yeah, 4 or 5 too. Don't forget that one.
4 or 5. Well, how much is getting back?
Is that right? Is that accurate? Right? Huh?
Because we won one early.
Oh, my bad.
We can edit.
No, wait. Hang on.
3
All right.
from the January stretch.
So 3 of 4 in the January stretch. So technically 4 of our first 6 on the road. I got you. Go ahead.
No, getting back to home after just playing on the road so consistently to start Big Ten play, how much can that maybe give you guys a sense of comfort and then hopefully get things pointed in a good direction? Yeah,
well, the one thing you can't take for granted is that, oh, we're going to win at home. We're at home. And I think that's the number one message I want to put out there. I'm happy we're at home, and our fans have been terrific, and PBA's been very good to us. And so that's good, but at the same time, I don't know that we want to depend on that.
Coach, one of the strengths of this team appeared to be, at least in the kind of middle of the season against teams like Oklahoma State and Southwest Minnesota State, was the success of the free throw line. But the past couple of games, it hasn't been quite at that level. What do you think the reason for that is?
Well, anytime you go on the road, it's harder to get to the foul line. But I thought against Iowa, I think we were 20 for 26. That's pretty good on the road. But they shot 32, and you can't lose that battle that way. Usually just that aggressiveness, when you get ahead and you can get teams in foul trouble early, now you get into their bench, they might be a little more likely to foul. I just think it's your ability to get there early in each game. And then you got to make them. Our numbers have been solid, not atrocious, knock on wood, but it seems like we have timely misses. And what's interesting is we have a couple different like free throw games and events that we do as a team that make each guy have to make a free throw for the other guy. And you want to put pressure on them and stress them out a little bit. But at the same time, you don't want them overthinking it. And we've usually done pretty well, but it's kind of interesting that the same guys that maybe struggle at times in practice are the same guys that may struggle. So you just got to talk to them, tell them to relax, and, a free throw is a closed skill. It's not a competitive environment, man. You just got to get up there and do it.
What's the challenge of knowing when you want to go to the 1-3-1 and when you want to stay with the man and trying to switch that throughout a game?
Yeah, well, it was out of necessity the other night against Iowa. And you don't like any zone when you've got a guy like Jordan Bohannon that can get going in the long range. He's got range, and he can really shoot it. So any zone, he can just stand a little further away than you can get to and knock it down. I think it's just a gut feeling, or we might have lineups we like that we're going to zone. It might be a defensive lineup I see that I want to go zone because I don't like our mobility and I think we have good length, or it might be an offensive lineup that I think we can zone. So I think it's just a number of factors in the game at the time, and then sometimes you just want to stay man to make sure that this is where our bread is buttered. This is what we're going to have to do most times out. I just don't know that I ever want to get away from that.
Do you think there's a certain comfort level your guys have when you go to that 1-3-1?
I think they like it. Some. It's just, you can tell. I think that if you've got a long-range shooter, they don't want anything to do with it. They don't want to give up threes, but they also know there's some different things. And what's odd is that the 1-3-1 really is to take away the lane. It's so strong up the middle, and there's nowhere to drive on it. So it's a great against the penetrating teams and stuff like that. But when you run it, you're really worried about the three-point shooting of the team because innately, it's just automatically going to take care of a lot of penetration just by positioning. But at the same time, what you worry about are those guys especially those two wings, the point, and then that guy in the middle really have a lot of work to do because we keep our low guy home. And but you've got to be able to understand what the rules are and where to go. And I thought what hurt us the other night is just a steady diet of any one thing. And then Bohannon got going 2 out of 3 possessions, I think, and hit threes on us. And once again, it's a weak rebounding thing on the baseline. They put 3 guys on the baseline, they jack up a jumper and get the offensive rebound. Well, you know, that's good offense too, you know. I like our zone. We're going to continue to use it.
Are you interested in see what the fight is like in your guys after dropping 2 on the road?
Yeah, I am. I am very interested to see how hard we'll fight, because you'll have to fight to Penn State to beat them.
Tim, we're going to talk to Tanner here in a few minutes. How do you think he's playing so far this season?
I think Tanner is doing a terrific job for us. I just, again, look at the big picture for him. He came in, he changed his body, he earned a scholarship, he earned a playing role. He just kept earning more respect and value to our team and everything as time's gone on. And I'm very proud of him. And you look at that Maryland game, and he goes 4 for 4 against Bruno Fernando. And, you know, if he would have showed up 3 years ago or 4 years ago and you said, well, you know, we're going to put him in against Bruno, and this guy's going to be a first-round draft pick, and he's going to just make layups. You know, you'd say, no, Coach, that's not going to happen. But he's earned that, and I think that's what's the coolest part of. You can see that confidence in him grow, and he's earned that.
Anything else for Coach?
Thank you, guys.